What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show. And we are back with a lot to talk about, actually, despite the fact that it is the end of the year and we don't really have any big... Oh, 1 second. I did this again. Hold on.
What'd you fuck up
It's
now, man?
playing on my... Here we go. I found it. There you go. I found it. All right, sorry. I did that again. I had the video open of the stream and then it started playing in the background. Sorry about that. But anyways, what I was saying is we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, despite the fact that we're kind of out of cards until the end of the year. There's quite a bit of things that have been announced. One thing, by the way, a few fights. I haven't even talked to you about this. A few fights on the UFC 300 card have been announced, so we'll cover that as well. Talks of Leon Edwards maybe being UFC 300, which would be so cool. And I think the big news that, well, okay, first of all, let's talk a little bit about personal news of the show, as well as your personal story.
I was hoping you were going to get to that, because I was going to say, if you just, we got to be appreciative here, man. This is big for our show.
Yeah, so we've gotten up to over 100 subscribers now. For those of you guys who, we have 108 as of today, as of this morning, which I know it doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but that is huge, because for those of you guys who don't know, I've been on the YouTube journey before, and I have a company, a math company, a tutoring company, and it's now just past 100,000 subscribers. The channel is called Scalar Learning, and I've been working on it for years, 7 years now at this point, since 2016, 7.5 actually we're getting up to. So I know the journey. It's been quite a process. This is a totally different beast and a different animal, and man, is it fun. But watching the numbers pick up over the last month as we start to get into a routine has been super exciting. And we're going to continue at it. And we're just having so much fun. So we thank you guys for joining. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do so, because now we're going to be just banging content out every Monday and Friday. That's the show, 1:30 p.m. PST. We'd love to have you join and give your comments. And we're responding to everything. So, yeah, we'd love to have you join us in this journey. But we also want to talk, before we jump into the main topics listed today. So Justin had well, why don't you tell him what's going on?
So yeah, October 21st, I fought Chris Padilla, super tough dude out of California. Unfortunately, if you guys saw my video, which we'll probably share on the 10-7, we can upload it up there. I'll send it to you who's able to upload it. But there were some illegal strikes in the round, and I thought the fight was stopped very early by Chris Lieben, and I contested it. I sent all my paperwork into CSAC. They told me that I'd be able. They had a hearing on December 9th. I was commentating a show on for Fusion Fight League in Montana. They said they're going to Skype me in to explain my case, and CSAC completely ghosted me. The day before, they said, "Hey, hearing's at 10 a.m." I was on my phone. I was on Skype at 10 a.m. I haven't heard. They never got back to me. Andy Foster, the head of CSAC, I guess fighter relations. I have his personal number. I've called him. I've texted him. What the fuck? Like, we're talking about when you talk about bad commissions, California is up there. And I'm not just saying this because of my opinion. This is just known. People don't like the California Commission. You have judges like Adelaide Bird who are just terrible. And if she has a problem with it, I don't really give a fuck. You Chris Lieben. I think he's a great fighter, and I think he has some holes to work on as a ref. But California State Athletic Commission, you got to hold yourself accountable. You got to hold your employees accountable. This is not a game to me. This is my life. This is my job. And because you're protecting your own, oh, he's a California kid, he's a California ref, we're in California, basically fuck Justin James. California State Athletic Commission, I beg you guys to be better. You guys, regardless of your decision of overturning my fight or not, you guys should have reached out to me and let me know. I still haven't heard. My manager hasn't even heard from the California State Athletic Commission. I had to call George from Up Next Fighting, who's the promoter for Up Next Fighting, to even hear the verdict. We sent you something. He said that they sent me something in the mail. Motherfucker, it's 2023. You think I'm waiting for a piece of mail to come in my mailbox? Call me, text me, email me. CSAC, California State Athletic Commission, be better in the future, because you guys are doing a really shitty job right now.
And by the way, we've talked about this a little bit before, and I was at that fight, and you've gotten a lot of people's opinion on the footage, and they've all said they've kind of all rallied around you and said unequivocally that this should be overturned, that this was a clear, incorrect stoppage. So it's not as though this is a fringe decision or something where it's like, hey, it could go either way. It's pretty
this
obvious.
Split decision loss. I'm asking to be turned over to a no contest. It's not like I thought it was a bad it was a bad judge case. It was a terrible stoppage by Chris Lieben. I mean, look at the video. I mean, I slowed the video down. I'm getting elbowed repeatedly in the back of the head over and over to a point to where I address it in the fight. I walk up to Chris. You can see in between. Hey, man, can you address the back of the head shots to him? And he goes, oh, he's not hitting you in the back of the head. Well, that's funny because I have a hematoma in the back of my head. And here's video footage from the replay that say, again, California State Athletic Commission, be better.
Yeah, it's crazy. And look, like I obviously don't know the ins and outs of sort of how all these systems and organizations play with, kind of interact and whatnot. But look, all I can say is from my perspective, it's like crazy, and I get it. They're trying to do their job to whatever degree they are, but like, yo, this is your livelihood. This fight was so important for your career and for you coming back to the UFC and doing what you need to do. So it's like, man, with the way that I try and put myself in that same position is like, if my entire business and career hinged on one thing and it got messed up because of a mistake, I would be so devastated. And so I totally get it. And I empathize with you that way. I hope there's still something that they can do. And let's see what we can do, who we can talk to, and maybe get another crack at it. But in the meantime, I know you have another fight scheduled right in February.
Yeah, February 10th, going to Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm fighting this piece of shit named Carson Hardman. He's a PFL vet. He's a tough fighter. He's durable as all hell. But he fought a friend of mine, Babajit from India. Had some racial slurs to throw at him. So my guy Babajit beats the shit out of Carson Hardman for 5 minutes. In the last 10 seconds of the round, Carson's hurt. His back's on the fence. His hands are up. Babajit throws a very explosive spinning back fist, hits him in the elbow, breaks his arm. My arm. In between rounds, he has a hard time verbalizing this to his coach, my coach, Roman Isabel, because he doesn't have that. He has good English, but in the moment, he doesn't know how to explain to him that his arm's broke. As soon as the bell rings, Carson rushes in, hey, you piece of shit, go back to your country, Listen, my guy Babajit, he's here trying to make a better life for himself, a better life for his family. Fuck you, Carson Hardman, man. You wanna come at somebody? I'm gonna send you back to the trailer park, boy. You're fucking white trash to try to talk down to somebody that's trying to make a better life for themselves. Fuck you, and I'm gonna come at you 100%. I'm gonna knock your fucking head off just because.
I'm Indian too, so what the heck? What's up with that?
Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah.
That's whack.
Come on, man. He's fucking hitting all the brown people. Hey, so I have a buddy, Gary. He fought for the Super Fight League, Indian guy. He heard that I was fighting Carson Hardman. He's like, hey, man, if you want to use any Indian racial slurs, you got the brown community behind your back. I was like, that's my guy. Let's go. I'm really looking forward to this, man. I there's a lot of things that, I love shit talk. I love banter. But, Carson, you're a fucking punk, bro. Like, this guy whooped your ass. He dropped you twice in the first round and breaks his arm trying to knock you out. Not because you did anything, not because you armbarred and broke his arm. He hurts himself, and you have the audacity to tell him to go back to his country. Time to go back to the trailer park, boy. I'm sending you home.
I just looked up this guy, Baba G. Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, anyways, yeah, I just, me personally, when I hear that, I don't know what it is. Like, those kind of racial comments directed towards Indian people or, whatever. I just always think it's silly. And I mean, I don't know. I just think it's whatever. By the way, we've got, somebody, the 10-7 MMA, somebody's got the same name. He said, what's up, y'all? Similar name. Shout out to Justin James, Guitar Hero, baby. Yeah.
Get you, man.
Awesome. Okay. So we got a ton to talk about, and I've been listening to so many crazy shows all this week. I mean, so much craziness has gone on. So I want to start with I think the biggest piece of news. Okay, look, so this is crazy, man. I want to talk about Colby Covington, and he's been going on shows right off the bat, which is crazy after the loss. But he's been on 2 shows. One of them was the Patrick Bet David podcast, which I really like that podcast. And he's going on there, and it's really funny because I think a lot of people are missing what's going on. They're all calling him an idiot and delusional. How could you think he won that fight? Dude, he doesn't think he won that fight. He's doing, like, right, you agree with me. He's doing this on purpose. It's I guarantee you he had this all planned out. He's like, if I win, great. If I lose, I'm going to act like I won and keep pissing people off and just go deeper down the heel thing. Because like he had a lot of people that loved him, and now they've turned on him because of that. But I think that was premeditated. I think that he knew if he lost, he's going to have to go deep down the other way and just let people hate him. Because as long as they still hate him, there's still an emotion there, right? I mean, do you agree with me?
Dude, I mean, hey, let's just review our footage from our first video right after the fight on Monday. I
Mhm.
said his goal wasn't to win the fight. His goal was to go to lose by decision and then say that he won the fight. I mean,
Yeah,
I said it before all this. I said, dude, the way he's
that's
fighting, he's
right.
not fighting to win. He's fighting not to lose, even though he's going to lose a decision. And at the end of the decision, he's going to have some bullshit excuse of
Yeah.
why he did. And he's probably going to say he won. Man, Colby, you got your fucking ass whipped, man. Take it like a man. Take it like a man on the chin, dude. You got your ass whipped. Leon Edwards is an all-around, overall better fighter. He's younger than you. He's stronger than you. He's more precise than you. His demeanor is better than yours. He beat you at your own game. You tried to get him to play your game. He said, no, fuck that. He sat at range. He picked you apart. Yeah, you got some bullshit takedowns. But, bro, Leon Edwards isn't even a takedown specialist, and he took you down in the third round. Shut your fucking mouth. This is all gimmick. I hope you don't get a fight. Hey, Colby, if you see this, I was a fan of you, man. I love the shit talk. But now you're just a clown, bro. And you know what? I'll say it to your face. I'll say it here. Like, I don't give a fuck, dude. You're one of the best fighters in the world. You'll whoop my ass, but I'll tell you what, my opinion needs changed big time, man.
But do you agree that, like, I get, and I think what you're saying is 100% right, but you get what I'm saying? Like, this is all a troll. Like, he's saying, like, he knows how ridiculous it is. I have to believe, and he's doing it on purpose. Like, he doesn't really think he won. You know, like, I watched the Patrick Bet David podcast, and they're like, oh, or the other, it was another interview on like Fox News or something. They're like reading the stats. Are like, well, if you look at the strikes, you outstruck him. You had more control time. So on paper, he's like, I didn't watch the fight, but on paper, it looks like he won. And like when they're reading it, he's shaking his head. He's like, I know, man, it's crazy, but he's got a smirk on his face. So like, I know he's trolling everybody. I get your perspective. I still think it's kind of funny because I think he's just he's intentionally pissing people off and it's working. I don't know, man. I still, in some weird way, respect the game that he's just taking this character to the next level and he's just so committed to it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'd really appreciate if Colby went to like the WWE because he's making a mockery of our sport. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him to be a spokesperson in the UFC. It's embarrassing for him because, you know, when Conor McGregor was talking all his shit, that motherfucker backed it up. Colby hasn't backed anything up. He talked all the shit to Kamaru Usman, got his ass whipped. Oh, he beat Jorge Masvidal. Congratulations. Like a fucking bare knuckle boxer, turned MMA legend, which, and this is no shade at Jorge. I think he's a gangster. I think he's a fucking legend, but it's a perfect matchup for Colby. And he gets his ass whipped by Leon Edwards. Like this guy is just trying to stay relevant. But it's just bad for the sport because he's so over the top. Like Conor McGregor, when he talked the shit, like he genuinely believed that he can knock out anybody, and he could. Colby talks the same shit, but he can't. And he's just, again, trying to stay relevant. And it looks bad for all these up-and-coming fighters, these young high school kids, college kids, or early 20s. They're turning pro, and they're like, fuck, Colby's a one-dimensional fighter.
Yes.
And has had 3 title shots because he's beaten some tough guys, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, he's had 3 chances. He's blundered every one of them, and decisively. It wasn't like he was in some fucking knockout, drag-out fights. He got his ass beaten every one. And now kids are looking, well, fuck, if I want to get a title shot, all I have to do is talk shit. And
that's true. That's
it's just, I think he's a bad spokesperson for the UFC, and it's a bad image because, the UFC is eventually going to start becoming a joke. Because you have Colby Covington, who can't. He reminds me of a Walmart version of Chael Sonnen, and that's why I'll leave it at. Colby Covington's the Walmart version of Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen is the best shit talker of all. In my opinion, he talked himself into several title shots, just like Colby. But at the end of the day, Chael beat Anderson Silva for 4.5 rounds. Colby I don't think he's even won a round against Kamaru Usman. He maybe won 1 round against Leon Edwards, maybe. Because of his control time in the 4th or the 5th, which I stopped watching. So again, Colby Covington is the Walmart version of Chael Sonnen.
So he did win some rounds against Usman, but okay. So I'll say that I do want to throw in something, and you're making great points. By the way, Western Mass Climber is in agreement with you, which I totally. Oh, we lost Justin, but I'm sure he's gonna be back on. Yeah, I mean, Justin knows. Justin's the expert, 100% here. So he made a really good point. I do want to throw this out there as we wait for Justin to rejoin. So I listened to the Bilal Muhammad interview last night where he was talking about Colby. It was pretty interesting. And he was saying that, again, he doesn't think that Colby was ever that good. I don't know. That's such a tough thing to make a statement about, considering what he has done in the welterweight division. But he was basically saying that he is one-dimensional, kind of echoing what Justin was saying. Also, he made the point that where Colby struggles is out in the middle, right? And let me get, I want Justin to hopefully hear this too. So I was just telling everybody, I was talking about the Bilal Muhammad interview where he talks about Colby, what he said, and tell me if you agree with this. He struggles immensely with fighters when he can't get him up against the fence. So out in the open is where he struggles, and that's what Leon. So there's all these like nuances that are coming out after the fight, which makes me think the fight was way better than people are giving it credit for, because there was a lot of nuance and skill from Leon Edwards to kind of like keep him at bay. But basically, he didn't let him get him up against the fence, and I think that's why he was struggling to grapple with him and take a good shot. Also, we got to talk about this broken foot, because we theorize, hey, maybe there's an injury, or some people theorize there's injury. Now Colby's come out and said definitively that he broke his foot and by the way, 10-7 MMA made a good point that Colby was up in the fight going into the 5th round against Usman, the first fight. And I believe that's correct before the stoppage, or they were 2-2. They were 2-2. And
really?
Usman,
okay. All right.
I think I remember that being true as well. But dude, so Colby now said in one interview, he said two different things. In one interview, he said in the first 30 seconds, he broke his foot. The second interview on the PBD podcast, he said in the first minute, he broke his foot. I rewatched the fight last night. There was as far as I can tell, there was nothing that he threw that landed in that first minute or first 30 seconds where he could have possibly broken his foot. So I don't know. Like, I think he's continuing to troll. Do you give this any credibility that he's now claiming he has a broken foot, or you just add it to the pile of things that he's just saying to trigger people?
Have you seen a picture of an X-ray with a doctor's note saying this is Colby's foot on this day?
No.
And I'm done talking about it. Shut the fuck up, dude.
Okay, so I can see.
No, not you.
I know, but
talking about Colby. Like, bro, hey, you know what? Oh, I broke my foot. Guess what? Okay, cool. Hey, if you broke your foot, I'd post the X-ray the first day. Hey, first round. I'd show when it happened. It'd be like, hey, man, make this just. Now you just look like a clown, man. He might have hurt his foot, sure, but I don't remember anything in the whole first round where he threw like a high kick that could have hurt. Again, I don't fucking know, man. It's this guy. Who am I to talk shit, dude? He's one of the best in the world. He's making a living doing this way better than I am. Yep. I'm just, I guess I'm just envious that he can, just keep running his mouth and keep printing money. And then you got other guys out there that are busting their ass, like Bilal, which I'm not even a Bilal fan. I'm not, and I don't. It's not because I don't like him. I don't even know the guy personally. I just don't like. I relate to fighters when they're on the mic. I relate to their emotion. Yeah. And I just don't like listening to him talk. I don't like his analysis. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's a great fighter, kind of a boring fighter for my taste. So I'm not really a fan of him. Again, not taking away from his credibility of a fighter. He's an awesome fighter. But he's much more deserving of a title shot than Colby. But Colby talks and Colby sells tickets. So unfortunately, I just hope Colby shuts his mouth right now. And if he broke his foot, show the X-ray. If not, shut your mouth.
So I definitely want to talk about Bilal and Leon in a little bit when we transition to Leon in his next fight. Last thing I want to touch base on Covington. I know you're getting fed up of this topic, and I get it, because like also look, I think you also feel like he's not casting a great light on the sport, and the sport deserves massive respect. Also, by the way, Western Mass Climber does say Colby was doing good work in that first Usman fight, which we have talked about. So yes, we agree. But here's the thing. So now, next fight, Colby is calling out Wonder Boy. I'm personally not so excited about that fight. I don't want to see Wonder Boy get berated. I don't know what it is, but from my perspective, it's just not something I'm interested in. Now, what I think would be amazing, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and hear me out here. Okay. We got Ian Gary coming up with this next fight against not Neil Magny, Jeff Neal. So he's fighting Jeff Neal, and that's happening pretty quick. I think that's in March on the Miami card. So that's going to happen in not too long. Now, what about this as an idea for Colby's next fight? And I think this is perfect. The fact that he's going deep into the heel territory. There's one guy on the mic that will not be afraid of Colby, and that will probably rip him apart equally as Colby rips the other guy apart. And I think that's Ian Gary. And also Ian Gary's coming up, trying to build his name. Colby maybe, hate to say it, but he might be kind of on his way out, on the decline, potentially after this fight, especially. I don't think he's getting any other title shots. Imagine that buildup would be insane. and it would give the fans what they want. Hey, we want, think about the Conor versus Floyd buildup. We got to see Conor really go at somebody that a lot of people didn't like. And I think that's what made it so exciting. It's like, he's not being a jerk to somebody that we love. He's being a jerk to somebody that is generally, even despite his amazing skill level, generally hated. And so I think that really brought people in. This will be a same type of a buildup. What do you think about that as a potential next fight for Colby, Ian Gary?
And I think that's a great matchup, and I love the way you're explaining it because they're both fire on the mic. Ian Gary's a hot prospect, up and coming. Colby's definitely on his downfall. I mean, do you see Colby ever winning another fight in the UFC? If now you look at what the UFC as a business, where does it make sense for them to put Colby? Are they going to do him a favor because he sold a lot of tickets for the Leon Edwards fight? I know that after he mentioned his dad, like what Dana say, it went up like 25%, like almost immediately.
The pre-buys. Yeah, the pre-buys. He said it went up 25%. Yeah.
So if the UFC is like, all right, we want to, he helped us out. We want to help him out back. We're going to give him Wonder Boy. I don't want him to have Wonder Boy. I think it's it's an incredible matchup for Colby because Wonder Boy is that old school one-dimensional fighter, and that works well. But I don't want to see someone like Wonder Boy lose or have a possibility of chance of losing to someone like Colby because Thompson, man, is just such a nice, humble guy. And what kind of fight buildup will that be? It'll be Colby talking shit. And Wonder Boy probably like, hey man, I'm sorry you feel that way, man. Hey man, we can still be hey man, you want to, hey, we can train together for this fight if you want. Like, hey, if we can do some light sparring, you know what I mean? Like, he's just too nice of a guy. I really hope the UFC doesn't do him dirty like that. Ian Gary, on the other hand, up and coming, fucking hotter than the sun right now. I would love Ian Gary. And you know what? I think it's for the best for the UFC because everybody would tune in. Because as of right now, I'd say 90% of his fan base may have turned on him. I really liked what he was doing. And, you even asked about how I felt about him crossing the line. I was like, hey, he crossed the line, man. But he's a businessman. He's selling tickets. He doesn't care about your feelings, my feelings. He's selling tickets. I respected that. But then if you're going to talk shit like that, you got to back it up. You can't just go out there like a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay, well, I'm just so excited that you're in agreement with me about the Ian Gary thing because I had that idea earlier in the week, and I'm like, I feel like it's gold. Will it happen? I have no idea. I don't know logistically if it can. By the way, Western Mass Climber says Colby should fight Shavkat. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I think there's zero chance that Colby would ever accept that fight. I think he's too smart that he knows he'll just get steamrolled, and it will. I mean, I don't know. You agree with me, but I assume he's going to get steamrolled by Shavkat. Shavkat's so well rounded, and he probably can out grapple Colby too, which is crazy. So I do think that would be great, but I just don't see it happening because I just don't think Colby will accept it. And then 10-7 MMA also says the UFC is going to keep him around because he sells. Bilal and Leon sells nothing. We're going to talk about that, and I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with you, and it just sucks for Bilal. But I think it's the truth. So, okay, let's switch it up to Leon Edwards. So, first of all, his coach went on the MMA Hour earlier this week and alluded to the fact that they're trying to get Leon on the UFC 300 card for a title defense, which I think is so cool. And yeah, like, what do you think? Dana, when it was asked about whether or not he's going to fight Bilal next, said, I don't know. I can't think about that right now. Leon and his coach both think that for whatever reason, they don't want to fight Bilal. Bilal went on ESPN last night, had an interview, just talked about how ridiculous that is. And it is kind of crazy because, like, you don't really see anybody. The next person down the rankings is Shavkat. So it's either Shavkat or Bilal, I assume. What are your thoughts? Like, I know you said you're not a fan of Bilal, but what do you think would make sense if we are queuing up for a fight in April at UFC 300?
Honestly, and again, I'm not throwing shade at Bilal. I think he's an incredible fighter. I really do. And I'm sure he's a great guy. He's a great training partner, man. He keeps winning fights, but he just doesn't have it for me on the mic. And if he doesn't have it for me, that means he doesn't have it for the business because he's not going to sell tickets. If Leon Edwards and Bilal main event, UFC like 300, I'm not even going to buy it. Like, I'm not even probably going to watch it. I couldn't care less about that fight. And I'm not saying Bilal doesn't deserve the shot. He definitely deserves it. It's just not a fight that I really care to entertain. Both of these guys are going to sit at the press conference, awkward as fuck. Bilal's going to try to throw some shade at him. And, Leon's probably going to say something, half-assed back. And it's going to be almost like a fake. I don't know, man. I'm just not excited about it. I don't like Bilal on the mic. I don't like him in the commentary booth. I just don't like his analysis. And, as a business, because remember, at the end of the day, the UFC is a business. And, you know, if me as a professional fighter don't care to see that fight, how many casual fans really want to see that fight? I would assume not many. Shavkat, on the other hand, smoking hot right now, coming in, has power in his hands, has great wrestling, has great grappling. I would be more intrigued to watch that matchup than Bilal. And again, it's not because I don't think Bilal is deserving. I just would be more excited to see the stylistic conflict, because I mean, Bilal, I mean, he's not one dimensional, but we know what he's going to try to do. He's going to go and try in there and wrestle and put a pace on him. You know,
Yes.
he's going to do the same thing Leon or Colby did, just at a much higher level, I think.
I agree with you. Now, and I hate to say it because it's not like I dislike Bilal either, but for some reason, I agree with you. That fight doesn't get me excited. And I do want to give Bilal credit because I do think he's genuine. He is himself. And I think that's a big part of being popular with the fans, is just letting people see who you really are. I think one thing that turns people like me off, or fans in general, is like, if we can't see the authentic version, if you have to, well, Kobe's an exception. Kobe goes so over the top that he's kind of funny. I think he does draw on fans, but like in general, just being yourself, being authentic, and having a little fire beside you. And it's like Bilal kind of does that for whatever reason. He doesn't have a big fan base, and you're right. It's not exciting, man. Shavkat versus Leon, that is exciting. So I guess we'll see what happens. That would be a banger of a fight on UFC 300. Dana said, I want to talk about these fights that have been announced, by the way, for UFC 300 so far. Nothing crazy, none of like the big fights. But Dana did say that his goal for UFC 300 is for people to be like, wait a minute, that's on the undercard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let me tell you the fights that have been announced. I want to get your
How about Leon Edwards versus Bilal on the featured undercard fight?
Wait, say it again.
Leon Edwards versus Bilal on the featured undercard.
Oh,
fight.
God.
Now, okay, that I could get behind. Because it'd be free. I'd watch it for free, but I'm definitely going to buy that fight.
Okay, so what are the fights? We're going to talk about two of the fights, and then the third one I left at the end for its own topic because it's with Aljo, one of your buddies. But first of all, they've announced Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. And I don't know if you saw Alexander Racic's like fight. Like, he's an animal. Like, I think were saying at one point that it was going to be Yuri versus Rakic for the title. Obviously, Yuri lost the title, so this is going to be happening. But that's a banger of a fight. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Yuri's going to have some problems there. Alexander Rakic is a very, very well-rounded fighter. And then another one, which is really exciting. Now, I don't know who this guy is, Cody Brundage, but he's fighting Bo Nickel. Now, I heard MMA Joey on his show last night kind of throw shade at Cody Brundage, said he's kind of whatever. I don't know too much about him. To me, I don't really care. I just want to see Bo Nickel. I want to see Bo Nickel fight anybody. I don't understand this rush to throw Bo Nickel against crazy competition because he's so exciting right now on the come up. I just want to see him smash people and just be like, what? Just sit back in awe because I'm so intrigued by him, and I love everything about Bo Nickel. So those are the two fights that I want to get your thoughts on.
I don't know the first fight. I know Yuri. I don't know his opponent. I've never seen him fight, so I have no input on that. And I'm with you on the Bo Nickel, man. This guy's hot. He's up and coming. The UFC is lacking star power right now. That's why Colby's getting so much, because he's talking the talk. Ian Gary's on his on the up and up for star power. But right now, I just don't feel there's any. I mean, there's a lot of great, like Sean O'Malley. I think he's one of the stars. But you can't build. There's no Conor McGregor's now. There's no Anderson Silvas. There's no Chuck Liddells. You know, right now I feel the UFC not scrounging around. Forgive me for term of better use, but they're fishing around. They want to see who their next big star is, and Bo Nickel has all that potential. You know, former college wrestler, man. Bo Nickel is an insane wrestler. Souped Gordon Ryan right on his fucking head, like. Just an insane guy. I think that his potential is incredible, and I just hope they don't throw him in there too early. You know, throwing him on a 300 card. You know, I know this Cody guy is fighting. I know the name. I feel like he fought in the PFL maybe, but I might be mistaken as well. But I mean, let's see this guy. Let's see what he has. Keep pushing the pace. Keep putting him out there. He wants to fight. Keep him fighting, and build this guy up. Make him your star.
So Cody Brundage, I'm just looking at his record. He's 10-5, and hold on, let me see if I can find where he's fought. 1 second. Cody Brundage. And by the way, just to read out a couple comments. So Western Mass Climber did say Edwards versus DS2 at UFC 300. I don't think that's going to be happening.
Hell yeah, for the belt. He rocked him. He rocked Edwards.
Yeah, he did actually. You're right. Okay, wait, hold on. Cody.
And he pointed at him. I talked to Jake Shields about that.
I was like, dude, he rocked him, and he just pointed at him. And Jake's like,
he honestly didn't know how clean the shot was until
he rewatched the bit. Like Jake Shields, if you don't know, is his teammate. They're training partners. They coach each other, help each other. Jake is one of my teammates or one of my coaches at Extreme Couture. I asked him about it when it happened, and he said he didn't realize it in the heat of the moment that he was that hurt.
I bet. Yeah. I mean, that's what it definitely seems like when you look back and that makes sense. Okay. So by the way, I'm looking at his record. He's had a bunch of fights in the UFC. So in the UFC, he's lost 4 and won 4. He beat Trayshawn Gore. He beat those last 2 fights. I actually don't know these guys. He beat Jacob Malkoun and Zachary Reese. Those are his last 2 fights, and they're both wins. So I mean, this guy's been around. He's 29. I think it's gonna be interesting. But anyways, bottom line.
Here's the ball. Yeah. Underhand talk. Bo, wind it up. Send it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I'm not hating.
I want to see this guy do well. Like I said, anybody that can soup Gordon Ryan over on their head. I mean, ultimately he lost the match, but I don't know if you ever saw. Did you ever see the match?
Mm-mm.
So like Gordon Ryan turns his back to Bo Nickel in a grappling match
and like tries to like scoot his butt towards him. I thought he was like mocking him a little bit. Bo Nickel just blocks her on body lock, sends him, spikes him right on his head. It was fucking awesome.
So, I gotta watch that. I didn't even know they ever had a grappling match. That's crazy.
It was awesome. And again, ultimately he lost, but
Gordon Ryan's the best in the world, man.
Gordon Ryan he's like Superman grappling, like he's levels above.
Exactly. And and think about how high of a level Bo Nickel, just as a wrestler, I'm sure his grappling is incredible, but his wrestling, he just goes in there and fights off Gordon Ryan. Like, wow, that's very impressive, man. It's a young, strong kid, up and coming, and I'm really hoping the best for him.
So I want to move on to something that's outside of MMA, but I did want to touch on it. And by the way, thank you guys for joining today. This is really fun. And if you do get a chance to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I would encourage you to do so. Like I said, we got content that we're banging out on the regular now, and we're on our way. We're having so much fun with this. So we would encourage you to do that. But I want to talk about Jake Paul. And it basically got no press, which is actually, I think, kind of cool. And I think kind of probably intentional on Jake Paul's part. But he fought a boxer. And he won decisively in the first round with an amazing, beautiful uppercut. If you haven't seen the replay, it's a really cool knockout. Now,
right uppercut.
Right uppercut. And the reason why I want to talk about him is 2 reasons. So one, obviously, I think this is a really interesting beginning of his journey as a real professional boxer, and I give him so much credit. The other thing I want to touch on is this, and I just give so much respect to Jake Paul, and I always have from the beginning. I was never one of the people that looked down on him or said anything negative, because I'll tell you what people were saying and why I think it was so ridiculous. Is that they were like, well, yeah, it's not that impressive. He's not even fighting real boxers. He's fighting MMA fighters, and they don't know how to box. But let me tell you something, as somebody who loves to train, obviously nowhere near the level of Jake Paul or anybody, but I just love it as a hobby. Dude, you think I would get into that? It's because I look at Jake Paul like me, like a kind of a normal guy, obviously much more athletic, but a normal guy who went in there and decided to box professionally. Now, do you think I would ever go in and be like, hey, Justin, yeah, you're an MMA fighter. Okay, I'm going to train boxing and I'm going to fight you in a boxing ring. Dude, that's still insanely terrifying. Most MMA fighters, if you jump in there as like a normal person like me, would annihilate me, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, whatever it may be. It's terrifying. So I always felt as though people didn't really give Jake his fair due. I think maybe they are a little bit now, but that is just so much respect to him for doing what he's done. And I think it's incredible. But anyways, so I want to say that. Now, what are your thoughts on his boxing journey now? He's got this knockout and he's going to keep on moving up the ladder. What do you see for him?
I'll tell you what, I
was a hater. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest, straight up. I hated what he was doing. He was talking shit, and then he beat Ben Askren. It's like, oh, cool, you beat Ben Askren. He's the worst striker in the UFC. Congratulations. Wow. And then he knocked out Tyrone Woodley. And once that happened, I was like, all right, this guy's legit. Now think about it. And I've talked with Dennis Davis, head coach at Extreme Couture, about this. Jake Paul is a super athlete.
I don't know if it was him or Logan or both of them, but they were Ohio State champ wrestlers. To be a
It's
state
Logan.
champ, it was Logan. So, well, Jake still wrestled though at a high
Jake
level.
wrestled. Yeah, he did. That's
And
correct.
to wrestle at a high level in the Midwest, even if it's just in high school, is very, very hard to do. I'm from Michigan. I did 4 years of high school wrestling, 4 years of collegiate wrestling. It's very, very tough. Now you look at them. You look at them both. They have an unlimited amount of time and resources to put everything. All right, Josefa, here's $50 million. Quit teaching, and you are going to learn how to box for 1 year, and you train 5 hours a day with the best trainers in the world. You're going to tell me in 1 year, and not to mention the best supplements in the world for recovery, so he can train 5 hours a day if he wants. I mean, the guy's an animal. That he's set up. And dude, I'm buying his Kool-Aid, man. I support Jake Paul. I support his fighter advocacy. Like he's trying to represent fighters. He wants, he's pushed for the fighter union to protect us, to get insurance on us. When Jake, I can't remember who he offered to fight, but it was something like, here's my, well, no, Francis Ngannou did it as well, but Jake said too, like he wants fighter insurance. You know what? I hated him at first. I hated what he was doing, but guess what? He's talked the talk. He's walked the walk. He shows up. He just knocked another guy out within the first round. Jake Paul's the real deal, and I support him in everything he does.
And his next fight is coming up on March 2nd, but they haven't announced who he's going against. But yeah, me too. I'm tuning in, and I'm not even a boxing fan, but I relate to his journey. I think a lot of people who are fans of combat sports in general can relate to his journey as just like you said, like imagine if I just decided to quit doing what I'm doing and just train really hard. I mean, obviously there's quite a big age difference. I'm in my 40s, but like when you said that, I was like, damn, that'd be so cool to see what I could do.
Sure.
And he's doing it. And look, I've always said this too, right? Like it's a big deal what he's doing, because I, as a fan of mixed martial arts and training just for fun, I've often thought about how exciting it would be to have a fight myself. But the truth be told, I'm too scared to do it. I won't, and it's too risky, because if I damage my mind, that's what I need for my main work, right? For everything. And it's like I just couldn't do it, or I'd be too scared to do it. Let's put it like that. That's the truth. And he's doing it. So much credit to him. And I think that's people like me in particular who are big fans, but also like to train for fun. We look at that and just are in admiration. So yeah, massive props to Jake. And let's move on to everything that's going on with your boy, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. And, we had that little skirmish. We've had a lot of things going on in the media. And it was very interesting. Apparently, this is what was on DC and Ben Askren. I love when those two guys talk. They're so funny. But apparently DC, now I don't know how true this is, right? This is from DC. He apparently said that du Plessis' team is so confident that they're going to be, and I'm sure you have your own thoughts on this as Sean's your boy and your teammate. They're so confident that they're going to come out victorious against Sean Strickland, that they just think they're levels above all this stuff. That was one interesting comment that was made, but there's another thing that was talked about last night that I heard. Apparently, Robert Whittaker had a very serious ankle injury going into the Dricus du Plessis fight, which he didn't talk about. And that was why he had to pull out of a fight before. And apparently on this fight, when he fought du Plessis, he had that still ankle injury, but he didn't want to pull out again. And so he insisted to fight and he fought. And apparently that's one of the reasons why he looked the way he looked. So I know I threw two things at you, but first let me get your response to how they kind of described the fight with Sean Strickland.
I mean, they're talking about their confidence. They're fighting for a UFC title. They better be confident they can win that fight. All right. Now, can du Plessis, can he outwork Sean Strickland? I think that's what it's going to come down to. Sean's game plan is the same in every fight. He runs almost like an MMA style Philly shell, and he inches you down, jab, cross, teep kick, jab, cross, teep kick. But that's the thing with basics. And, when you and I have worked together before, it's implementing basics to the highest level. And he's not doing anything flashy. He doesn't spin. He's not going for any dynamic takedowns, any dynamic punches. You look, jab, cross hook, jab, cross hook, cross hook. Like these are the basic punches you teach. But he works so hard and he's so good at the basics. He says, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to outwork you in this. Stop me. And unless du Plessis can knock him out, I just don't see it, man. I tell you what, I see Sean every single day at the gym. When I go in the morning, he's there. When I come back in the evening, that motherfucker is still there. I said this on one of our shorts. Nobody outworks Sean Strickland in at Extreme Couture. There's a reason he's in his 30s. He's the UFC champ. Like, this guy works his fucking ass off. I don't know Duplessis' work ethic. I don't know his training regimen. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, man. Like, I just don't see anybody outworking. You know, when Francis, and this is not throwing shade at Francis, so let's get this straight. When Francis won his belt, I mean, he hasn't really trained much since he won when he won the UFC title, you know, and in his boxing, he went to another gym. You know, him and Eric went to another gym to work. But Sean, the day after, or 2 days after he won the title, he came in and gave a speech to the room about, hey, I'm here for everybody. This is my team. I'm going to keep showing up. You guys have fights coming up. I might be the title holder, but you guys help me get there. Now I need to help you guys get to where you guys need to go. Dude, this guy, I love him or hate him, the guy's an incredible leader. His work ethic is nobody, you can't match it. And you know, man, I just don't see how he's going to answer this puzzle or figure out this puzzle on Sean.
I love that. Like, and I love that mindset and that mentality and those actions as a role model for kids and for other people to, to emphasize the fact that, hey, like, the work ethic is so important. And I love that he's showing up right after, doesn't want to take time off because he now says, hey, I want to support my team. So yeah, that's so amazing. Now, real quick, talking about takedown defense and grappling in that department, do you feel like Sean has an edge, Duplessis has an edge, or are they kind of, what would you say in that realm?
I think Sean's grappling is very, very underrated. He grapples and wrestles just as much as he spars, and he spars every day. So let's just, yeah. So he doesn't have to use it because nobody's has taken him down yet. I mean, think about this. He goes against arguably the most decorated striker, the two most decorated strikers in the UFC. Gets clipped in the first one, and then beats the guy definitively that beat the guy that knocked him out. Like,
right.
I mean, it's MMA is such a funny game, and that's one thing. You know, I really want to see Sean put his wrestling to use against Adesanya, but he didn't even need to, which is just mind blowing.
Crazy.
I'm telling you, his wrestling. Nobody thinks he can wrestle just because an MMA fighter doesn't wrestle in their fight doesn't mean they don't know how. Or just because they don't wrestle or grapple or go for submissions doesn't mean they don't know submissions. All these guys on the card, whether you're the champ, whether you're ranked 100th, we all know how to wrestle. We all know how to grapple. We all know how to strike. It's just implementing your game plan, against your opponent. And Sean he has the same game plan. Gets his MMA Philly shell, cross, jab, teep kick. And if Dricus can stop it, good for him, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, what's that saying that I am more afraid of the man who I'm less whatever it is. Like, I'm less afraid of the man who knows 1,000 kicks than the man who knows one kick that practices 1,000 times. Something like that.
That's exactly right. Yep. Proverb right there, and that's true, man. Like, it's these kids, and that's the thing. I coach the kids program in Extreme Couture, and a lot of these parents are like, oh, all you guys do are single leg and double legs. It's like, you got to walk before you can run. And these are the most important, single legs and double legs in wrestling. That's one foot in front of the other when it comes, in comparison to like walking to running. You can get good. If you have a good double leg and a good stand up in high school wrestling, you can be a state champion.
And same thing in Muay Thai, right? Teep, roundhouse. You drill those over and over and over. And those, like the teep, I feel like for self-defense, if you're in a bad situation, that would be my number one go-to. It's such a simple kick, but it creates distance. You can hit somebody in the solar plexus or like, you know what I mean? And just quickly get away. So I think it's like a difference. I love that simplicity in Muay Thai and that major emphasis on those main strikes. Okay, let's move it along because we got 2 topics left. We got some comments here. Muhammad Ali has the same birthday as Jake Paul and Alexander Usyk and Western Mass Climber, which is crazy. Did not know that. Wild. And he also says Justin hates when fighters cry about injuries. I'd say that's accurate to some degree, right? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, I mean, when I say cry about injuries, no, I mean, injuries are a part of the game. Injuries are a part of the game. Injuries fucking suck, dude. I get injured all the time. I just had neck surgery 8 months ago. I had hand surgery last year. I had nose surgery the year. No, it's not. I don't cry, but hey, show the proof. If they're referring to Colby Covington's injury, hey man, if you had a broken foot, you had a broken foot, but don't say you had a broken foot and don't back it up. I had neck surgery.
Yeah,
You want to see the X-rays? I'll show you the X-rays. I have hand surgery. You want to see the scar? Like I'll back it up. Colby hasn't done that yet, and if it is broken and he was hindered from it, hey, I respect it, man. I get it, but don't say it if you're not going to back it up.
fair point. Fair point. All right, let's move it along. I wanted to talk about Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera. I know people are talking about the matchup, and I just want to quickly get your thoughts. I think it's a very interesting matchup. I've heard some folks say that this is a bad style matchup for Sean O'Malley, and he's going to be in some trouble. I've heard other folks say that unequivocally they feel like Sean O'Malley is going to have the advantage, and he's gonna win decisively. What are your thoughts initially this far out from the fight?
Sean sold me, man. I'm on the Sean train. I've been fortunate to meet him a couple times in Montana because he's from Montana. When I do my commentating out there, he's usually at the shows. So we've ran into each other. The guy is just an incredible guy. He works his ass off, and he has all the momentum going into this fight. Cheetah's kind of showing up, I mean, I know he won their last fight, but I just think Sean is just glaring with confidence right now. You can see in his step, you see him when he talks. He's humble, he's confident, he's ready to go. I think he finishes Chito Vera.
Oh, it's amazing. And you know what's so cool about Sean is people might say different things about him, negatively, positively, this and that. But the truth of the matter is, I think is like he's just kind of like a chill, low key guy. The reason why he's so popular, correct me if I'm wrong, is his fight style. And that's so dope. Like, I think that's really what it is. He's an exciting, super exciting fighter to watch. And yeah, he's got a great personality, but he's pretty low key. He doesn't go crazy in the press conferences. He is this popular because of how he fights. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. He's not over the top at the press conference. He can talk shit, but guess what? He's been backing it up. And I've lost so much money betting against him because, Peter Yan, like, how could he beat Peter Yan? There's no way he can beat Peter Yan. Oh, well, he beat Peter Yan. Oh, that was bullshit. Oh, there's no way he can beat Aljamain Sterling. My team, I wrestled with him. There's no way. Boom, knocks him out. Yeah. Sean, I'm buying what you're selling, man. Keep it up.
Speaking of Aljo, we're coming to the last topic here, and I saved this for last because I know you train with Aljo or have trained with Aljo. Maybe not like I think he comes to Extreme Couture, but I don't know. I believe he's not like based there. But they just announced a crazy fight. Aljo versus Calvin Kattar or Kattar. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but what a beast Calvin is. Amazing striker. I know he had that crazy fight against Max Holloway. If you guys remember that, he got pretty handled by Max Holloway, but phenomenal fighter regardless. What are your initial thoughts? And by the way, just to throw this out, I have heard a few folks discussing this fight. They feel like it's a bad matchup for Aljo, and he's going to have a hard time. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a bad matchup. I agree. As soon as you said that, I felt the same thing, man. Aljo is going up a weight class. I mean, he's a big 35er as it is, but he's going up to a 45-pound weight class. And, I consider myself, kind of a big 45er. I'm not very tall, but for like muscle mass, I got thick legs. When I stand next to Aljo, I feel just a lot bigger than him. So him. I mean, he's obviously shredding. He's in great shape and everything. But man, Calvin is the real deal, man. This guy's not a chump. He's been in some great wars. The question is, can Aljo go up a weight class and take down the bigger fighter? That's unfortunate. It's not unfortunately, but that's what the fight's going to come down to. Can Aljo get Kattar to the ground? And if he does get him there, can he keep him there? Because Kattar's not going to play off his back. If he gets taken down, he's going to be trying to get right back to his feet and put some hands on Aljo. Can Aljo hold the bigger fighter down for 15 minutes? And I genuinely think that's what the fight's going to come down to.
So just to give you a little bit more context too, his last two fights, Calvin lost. One was a split decision against Josh Emmett. The other one was against Arnold Allen, and he lost because of a knee injury. By the way, that was in October 29th of 2022. So my assumption is that he may have been out because of that knee injury for this long. So teeing up that fight, again, it's going to be on UFC 300. That's going to be about a year and a half out of the game. Does that change your opinion? Does that have you lean more heavily towards Aljo in this matchup?
I'm not leaning in any way, shape, or form. It's going to come down to, can Aljo take him down and hold him down? It's a simple. He's not going to outstrike Calvin. I think Calvin's too fast, too dynamic. You know, as if I was Aljo, you know, if I was in Aljo's corner or preparing for a game plan, I'd be working my tight angles to try to get Calvin's back against the fence and try to win the fight there. I just don't think Aljo can outstrike him, but he can out grapple and he can out wrestle. And I tell you what, when Aljamain Sterling gets on your back, he is a backpack. He doesn't get off. You know, he is, man, is he freaking tough to get off the back. Like, it's when we grapple and he gets a body lock in, it's like, well, I'm here forever now. Until the round's over, I'm here now. So can Aljo get to that position and hold tight? We'll find out.
Very exciting fight. I can't wait to see what Aljo does in this new division. And I wish him the best, wish Calvin the best too. But yeah, very exciting. So I'm stoked for UFC 300. We got a lot of stuff going on despite this downtime, a lot of announcements. And next week, we're still going to be coming out with our show. We're probably going to do a recap of the year, either Monday or Friday next week, which will be really fun. We'll have a little sort of like, we'll go back and forth about, hey, what do we think was the best knockout, the best fight, the best card, blah, blah, blah. We'll set up all the categories. It's going to be super fun. So guys, make sure to check that out. And again, this is exciting. We're growing and we're going slowly, but it's really, really fun. Kattar Mass Mafia is what Western Mass Climber says. But anyways, yeah, like, I don't know. This is exciting. We're having a blast. Thank you guys for joining along. Thank you for the schedule. Western Mass Climber just asked. The schedule is Mondays and Fridays at 1:30 p.m. PST. We just posted it on the YouTube channel banner, so you can see it there. But we'll be on every day on that schedule. We'll be posting shorts throughout the week as well, constantly. So we'll have content coming out on the regular. But we're going to be doing the official show. Unless things change, we decide to up that frequency. But for now, we're going to be doing the show Mondays and Fridays. We feel like that's a good pace and a good schedule. So thank you guys so much. This is a blast. We like I said, we passed 100 subscribers. That may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but as I mentioned, I've been on the journey before of YouTube, and this is a big deal, hitting that 100 subscriber mark. So we're thrilled, and we can't wait to keep going. So thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.